Pre-construction is probably the most essential part of the process. It's where we take that vision, we take that idea that we extracted from the client's mind, breathe some life into it, right? And now we're gonna figure out the logistical, practical aspects of making this a viable project. There's a lot of different things to be considered. There's building permits. City or jurisdiction are you working in? What do they require? How is that different from another jurisdiction? These are all things that have to be considered. There's kind of a discovery process there where we have to go ask questions. For example, in the city of Jacksonville, there's a pre-application meeting that you have to take part in before you even get to the point of submitting an application for a building permit, where you just have to sit down and talk about, hey, here are the rules for building in the city of Jacksonville. Here are the things that have to be considered. Here are the parameters. And then you actually take that back to the drawing board and let that kind of fine-tune that design to make sure that it's going to conform with what their requirements are. Being a historic little town, they've got rules that are different than, say, Phoenix or Medford. So consulting with utility companies, does the power need to be underground or is it going to run overhead? That's usually determined by what kind of neighborhood are you in? Is all the power already underground or is it all on pole? Water, sewer, septic. Times where we have to go consult DEQ to understand what kind of septic system is going to be required. So these are all very important parts of the project that aren't necessarily tied to the aesthetic design, but they're also very crucial parts of a home or a building, being operational, so to speak. The idea is to cross your T's and dot your I's, know everything you can going in, right? It's like in a military operation. Like there are people that it's their profession, it's their job to understand all of the variables, all the things that can go right, all the things that can go wrong, take all that information, distill it down, and come up with a solid, effective plan that has the highest potential rate of success. That's kind of what we're doing. We're gathering all the information, we're talking to all the different players, all the different people that are going to be part of this process to understand what all has to be considered for this thing to actually happen. And so when you skip out on that process, what happens is you end up taking steps forward and then having to take steps back. You could even incur fines and legal fees or be sued if you do some of these things out of order. So it's very important to follow that process. And honestly, it's not a very complicated process. For us, we know the process. We've done it so many times. We've built solid relationships with these other entities. So we know what they're looking for. We know why they do their job, why they ask for the things they're asking for. And we want to make sure that we align with that. So it's a partnership, it's a collaboration. Now you can start the project without the worry or the anxiety of, did we figure everything out? What's going to jump up and surprise us? What most people are looking for, whether they realize it or not, is cost confidence. They want to be as sure as they can be of what it's going to cost. It's the same thing like if you go out to dinner, like a really high-end place, like in Seattle or San Francisco, somewhere like that, a place you don't know, you're not familiar with, and you know it's going to be expensive. You have that expectation, but as everyone's ordering, you're kind of like trying to add up in your head, like, okay, what is it really going to be? You would like to know if you could know. Nobody wants to be surprised by $1,000 check. You get to the end of the dinner and, oh my gosh, this is crazy. That's what we're trying to deliver for our customers. Confidence in what is this actually going to cost and how likely is it, if at all, to change. There are always unforeseens, especially in the remodeling game, right? New construction, it's a little easier because you're starting with a clean slate and every step is a forward movement. With remodeling, you're often working back before you can go forward. So it's a little harder sometimes to nail down what the cost is. But with the pre-construction process, through that process of discovery and trying to understand all the variables, you are getting closer to a accurate number of what it's going to be. And ultimately, that's where we want to start with any project is, hey, this number is not going to change unless there's something just completely out of our control or unless you, the client, ask us to change it by adding to the scope or taking away from the scope. The process of pre-construction sounds complicated, but really what it is it's an investment in clarity moving forward, which is, I think everybody can appreciate. Why do you hire a contractor? Like if it was something simple and easy to wrap your mind around, you'd probably just do it yourself and save the money. But hiring a contractor who understands the process, understands all the things that can go wrong, understands the importance of planning ahead in order to be able to just execute when the time comes, that is the definition of clarity in my mind. Now we've talked about ideation, we've talked about cultivation, now let's talk about execution. So execution is where the rubber meets the road. This is now the fun part. The hard work is, in my mind, the hard work is done. We've extracted the ideas, we've put the puzzle pieces together, we've consulted all the authorities and different people that determine what you can and can't do. We've put a plan together, a project schedule, a budget, all these things. You know, you've got kind of this package. It's like getting a new Lego set. You've got all the pieces, you've got the instructions, now it's time to build.